Donald Trump said he never had the privilege to go into Epstein Island. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Donald Trump's own words. I never had the privilege of visiting Epstein Island.
That was it. I'm glad I did, if you want another truth.
Let me rewind again. Sorry.
That was it. I'm glad I did, if you want another truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah, that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want another truth.
Yes, so there you go. That's the president. President of the United States. Never had. Never had. So, thank you, Mr. President, for saying that. Thank you, Mr. President, for sharing that. But there's a little bit more. Because now President Trump is suggesting that something was planted in the Epstein files. Says they were run by the Biden administration. Those files were run by the worst scum on the earth. Worst scum on the earth, period.
On the Epstein files. Or your name has not appeared in the Epstein files. But doesn't the AG have to tell you if your name...
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey. They were run by Garland. They were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the auto pen. Those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. Like, as an example, Christopher Steele, a person you know well, happens to be from your country. But Christopher Steele, as an example, wrote a book, a dossier. We call it the fake news dossier. And the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They can put things in the file that are fake. But those files were run by bad, sick people. If they had anything, why didn't they use it when I was killing Joe and then he gave out because he was 25 points down? And then I got somebody new. Nobody even knew anything about it. She was a horrible vice president. She was a border czar, but she never went to the border. She never once called a border patrol agent to find out how we're doing. But she was the border czar. Her name was Kamala. Nobody.
You notice how he's rambling on, but not taking any responsibility. Like, Trump, you have so many photos with the guy. Yes, yes, yes. To be 100% clear, Bill Clinton is with Epstein too. Okay, like everybody was with him. You might not. Okay, let's say he's never been to the island. Okay, huh? All right, maybe. But what I do want to ask is, you knew of him. You've had long relations with the guy. It's like you're deflecting.
Nobody knows her last name. It was Harris, but nobody knew her last name. So I ended up, how would you like to end up in a race where you're killing somebody, you're beating him, and then they say, all right, we'll take him out. He's not working. Let's put somebody else. And then she had a 6-week honeymoon. It was amazing. They predicted she will have a 6-week honeymoon, and she did. And then she got slaughtered. But think of it. Those files were run by these people. They were run by my enemy. If there was anything in there, they would have used them for the election. Yeah.
Well, yeah. The reason why they didn't is because Democrats are in them too. But Trump reiterates that he has the authority to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, I'm allowed to give her a pardon. Why would you do that? President Donald Trump on Monday. If you're a Trump supporter, man, and the fact that you got your guy here saying this, like, because look, Bernie Sanders being the nutless cuck wonder. As soon as I saw him constantly bending over and twisting himself for Democrats, it's like, okay, buddy, you're done. I can't help you anymore. The fact that, again, if you're a Trump supporter, your main man is saying this about Miss Maxwell. You need to hold him accountable, man. President Donald Trump on Monday reiterated that he's allowed to pardon Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Miss Maxwell, but told reporters that no one has asked him to issue one to her. So all what someone has to do is say, hey, Trump, pardon Maxwell. Okay. When asked on Monday if we'd ever consider a pardon for Maxwell, who is currently serving a 20-year federal prison sentence for, again, trafficking minors and other crimes, Trump told reporters, well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news. It's in the news about that aspect of it. But right now, it'd be inappropriate to talk about it. Trump, who is in Great Scott, Scotland, to meet the UK leaders, has previously said a lot of people have asked him about pardons without mentioning Maxwell by name. Maxwell is currently appealing her conviction. In a statement released Monday, her lawyer said Maxwell is being treated as a scapegoat. We are appealing not only to the Supreme Court, but to the president himself to recognize how profoundly unjust it is to scapegoat Ghislaine Maxwell for Epstein's crimes. Well, she was with him the whole freaking time, you jagoff. David Oscar Marcus said in a statement, his statement was in connection to Maxwell's attempt to overturn her conviction. Maxwell last week completed a 2-day interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche after the Department of Justice sought to interview her amid an outcry from conservatives and others. The president's come under fire for his administration's decision to withhold the release of information related to an investigation into Epstein, who died by self-deletion. Well, wait. While in jail in 2019, hold on, self-deletion. The autopsy shows something else. And I could have swore, maybe I'm wrong here, but I remember all those right-wing influencers who build themselves a nice, cushy career were saying, no, we have evidence to show otherwise. I remember certain people, one guy, Dan Bongino, for example, who had a very popular podcast and now is saying, oh, no, yeah, everything I was saying all those years ago, I was wrong. Right, buddy? Right. The Justice Department in early July released a memo stating that there's no evidence that Epstein was murdered and that there's no incriminating client list. Press X to doubt. Can I see some X in the live stream chat, please? Press X to doubt. X to doubt. X to doubt. Press X to doubt. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reported last week that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in May briefed Trump that his name appears multiple times in the files related to the federal investigation into Epstein. The uproar over Epstein doesn't appear to be dying down. Tech billionaire, one-time close ally, Elon Musk, on Monday appeared to support claims that Trump would issue Maxwell a pardon if she implicates Democrats in a testimony, responding to one social media post suggesting as much with an emoji of a bullseye. Trump is attempting to distance himself from Epstein since the controversy began. He told reporters on Monday that he never visited Epstein's private island. I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, Trump said, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my many very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Now, I will just say this. Maybe he didn't go. Okay, maybe. I doubt it, though. I doubt it, in my opinion. But why would you not want to go unless you heard something? Because these billionaires and these millionaires, these high echelon people like to play their little Game of Thrones with each other. They know. They know. And they know, and they know. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't be singing. But they know. Come on. They know. They know, people. Okay? They know their little games that they play with each other. But I want to play another video here. I want to give a huge shout out to good friend of the show, Nico House, who's number one in my book. Because, hey, it's about Maxwell and a pardon.
Bro, I take a week off work and I come.
That's your first mistake, Nico. I love you, man. I love you. You're hey, smart guy, but that's your first mistake. You took a week off. You took a week off work.
Bro, I take a week off work and I come back to Ghislaine Maxwell is a victim and Trump talking about how he's allowed to pardon her. So despite everything we know about Ghislaine Maxwell and how she participated in the human trafficking ring, that Epstein ran, it's looking like they really might pardon this woman. Just a couple of days ago on Newsmax, they referred to Ghislaine Maxwell as a victim, saying that the case was rushed. And he said, yeah, she hung out with Epstein. We know that. And apparently that's a bad thing.
She just might be a victim. She just might be. There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. All right. Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Can you believe that? Like, she knew these two have been in a relationship. They've been around each other. They're like peanut butter and jelly, but a disgusting type of peanut butter and jelly. They know each other. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here.
And I know that's apparently not good.
The fuck you mean apparently that's a bad thing? Hanging out with human traffickers who use minors to blackmail powerful elites is not apparently a bad thing. It is absolutely a bad thing, especially when it looks like you were participating in those acts. And even though Trump is already in hot water for this bullshit he pulled, not only him, but the Republicans as well, trying to keep the Epstein files and the Epstein client list from being revealed in its entirety, he has said not once, but twice how he's allowed to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if you
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something.
Recommended it.
It's something I'm allowed to do it.
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon.
Yeah, bro, you're the president. We know you can pardon who you want to, but we were waiting for a follow-up to that answer to be something like, yeah, but that would be a snowball's chance in hell because the justice system and all the evidence prove that she was at least a partner in a human trafficking ring, and I don't want no parts of pardoning something like that.
I want to pause here for a second because, there's something ain't adding up. Something ain't adding up. Some don't smell right. Some don't feel right. Because I just want to pull this up here. It's our good friend, J.D. Vance. Trump's got nothing to hide.
I guess I'm going to be that person. There are some protesters outside accusing the GOP of protecting pedophiles, and we're wondering what you think are the reasons the U.S. government should shield the client list of Epstein from the public, and what you have to say about any relevance to that here today.
Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff. You've got to redact some victims' names so that you protect the victims. But the president has been very clear. He wants full transparency. He's asked that from the attorney general. And I know, because I talk to her all the time, the attorney general is hard at work on that issue right now. But I think I got to make an observation that there's an interesting thing about this case that the American media seems to totally ignore. For 4 years under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the media didn't give a damn about the Epstein files or about the Epstein case.
Now, he's not wrong here, but I think how we all feel about the Democrats, I just find it ironic that the Republicans now are doing that shield wall. Like, release the damn files already.
For literally 20 years, the story about this scumbag, and he is a scumbag pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, he's dead now, but for 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush.
Well, because, see, Trump ran on it, honey child. That's the truth of it. He ran on it. And now he's talking about pardoning Miss Maxwell? No.
I don't want them to be part of my legacy, but that's not what we are. And last but not least, after all of this, Ghislaine Maxwell shows up at the DOJ, has a conversation as a part of a quote-unquote investigation, and then leaves with a box full of files. And we keep hearing all this talk about partial or complete immunity for Ghislaine Maxwell and her testimony. And remember, this would be testimony in the context of a Republican Congress who didn't even want the files or the client list released. So if she testified, it would only be to push their lies that there's nothing to see here. You don't even have to be Miss Cleo to predict what's happening here. It's so obvious that even Elon Musk sees the play on the field. And like I've said dozens of times, Elon said that he took it too far, and that's what he apologized for. He never said that Trump wasn't part of the files or that he lied about the reasoning as to why Trump was not releasing the files. And that is a huge difference that needs to be recognized. So what do y'all think? Pardon incoming? And if so, what does that say about every single person that is involved in this facade of turning Ghislaine Maxwell into a victim in order to justify this pardon, including Trump and everyone who's a part of his DOJ? But let me just say, I do.
You know what? And look, a lot of people are talking about this. I'm going to bring this up again. We still talk about you, Elmo.
On Sunday, Elmo's X account was briefly hacked by an outside party in spite of security measures in place. Elmo very sorry. Elmo strongly condemned the abhorrent anti-Semitic and racist content, and the account has since been secured. Elmo says that these posts no way affect his values Sesame Street or Sesame Street Workshop, and no one in the organization was involved. But Elmo did not apologize for calling out Epstein. Elmo won't do that.
There you go. There you go. All right? Just throwing it out there. Okay? Just throwing it out there. Throwing it out there. There you go. There you go. Just throwing it out there. Because remember, folks, Elmo never apologized. Elmo never apologized for that. Okay? Elmo never apologized for that crap. But just returning it back to Trump, returning it back to the guy himself, you know, our current sitting U.S. president. Just hold on. First, let me finish a little bit more what Nico House was saying here. Let me rewind it a little bit.
Ghislaine Maxwell into a victim in order to justify this pardon, including Trump and everyone who's a part of his DOJ. But let me just say, I do find it hilariously ironic and perfectly on brand for an asset of Israel to somehow commit heinous atrocities and still somehow come out as the motherfucking victim of the situation, instead of us seeking actual justice for the real victims.
Want to pull this up here too.
Would have had something that would have used it. Yeah.
Why'd you throw him out of Mar-a-Lago? Look at that face. I forgot. I threw him out of Mar-a-Lago.
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help.
He did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. What?
I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me.
I better see. Let's see. We got how many people watching us on the YouTube right now? 251. We got 32 beautiful people watching us on X. We got about 60 people watching us on Rumble. We got 12 people watching us here on Kick. All right. So look, hey, it's early in the morning, but I better see in the chat right now. Press X to doubt is if that was the reason why. Oh, you hired help? Oh, you're poaching some of my work. What? What?
Years I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
Say again.
about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. They're big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island and talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
Privilege. 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 Let's look up what it means in the big book of words. Let's look up what it means to look it up in the big book of words. Well, according to the online dictionary, privilege, noun. A special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. Verb, grant a privilege or privileges to. English inheritance law, privilege the eldest son. Privilege. Privilege is a special benefit, right, or advantage granted to a person or group because of their position or wealth. The word comes from Latin, which means law of for one person. Well. All right. I guess that is what it is. Say again one more time, Trump, for the people tuning in and hitting that like button.
About them. I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
So what can we take away from this? Number one, we know first off, right off the bat, there's always something hiding. Stop pretending. Stop treating us like we're children. I mean, my goodness, Congress. My goodness, politicians. My goodness, media. I mean, you're hiding something, okay? And these rich people, they know. I mean, come on. You had Hollywood elites, actors and actresses, comedians, producers, directors know about Weinstein. Hell, they knew about the Diddy parties. All that baby oil and the egg test. I'm very curious about certain people and that egg test, right? They all knew about Epstein too. Okay? Before anyone says, well, gee, kid, you can't find them all guilty. Yes, I can. In my opinion, I can. I mean, Epstein's there rubbing shoulders to shoulders with royalty, business executives, Wall Street hotshots, big bankers, U.S. politicians, Democrat and Republican. It was a privilege, and he also has the right to maybe pardon Miss Maxwell. Listen, I welcome all to join my community. But one of the steps, if you want to be a diehard Hard Lens Media follower, a Hard Lens Media community leader, is you have to stand in solidarity of demanding that list. I don't care where you stand, left or right. I don't care what generation you're part of, but every single goddamn person in this country should be screaming from the goddamn rooftop. You have a sitting U.S. president saying he didn't have the privilege to go to Epstein Island, where the ghosts of the victims still haunt the land. You have the same U.S. president, Donald Trump, now saying he has the right to reserve or possibly pardon Miss Maxwell, a partner in crime to Mr. Epstein. Mr. Epstein, who allegedly self-deleted when evidence shows the otherwise. Hey, to you right-wing influencers out there that made a career in calling for justice and talking about the Epstein files, and now you did a 180. How's that check? How's that being told to shut up now? Huh? What's it like now? You sellout cowards. And anyone that tells you to move on or not talk about the Epstein files, you have my permission to call them a coward or any other name you see fit. Justice for this country. Justice for the victims. And I know I'm not wrong about that.